Right, bonjour, good afternoon, good evening. Oh, there goes my chair. A little bit squeaky. Happy days. What an excellent start. How's everyone doing on this fine British evening? It's actually sunny here in the UK, which makes a change, and I'm sat inside streaming to you legends. Time zones, good evening. Hi, boss. Hello, mate. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce your name. Strange Tamer, Kevbot, how's it going? Finn, Khalil, Alio, Bonjour, Charles, good evening, Ledge, thanks brother. Stanley, let's go. I love my wife and beautiful kids. Hello, my friend. Proper banter. Hey fam, far from the UK, but got UK weather. Yeah, but it's lovely here, mate. Absolutely lovely right now. Makes a change. It was a little bit fresh, but aside from that, it's all good. How's everyone doing? You enjoying these wonderful conditions? I think we've been spoilt for the first half of the year, really. And we're starting to get into the... Oh, you got the typical one with the cold and the rain? Yeah, that... Yeah, that's the standard, isn't it? The classic British... All rain, all clouds, no sunshine. How's the, is the music a little bit loud? Should I turn it down? There you go. Superstar. Cool. Cheers. Right, well, let's jump into some stuff. As usual, this isn't financial advice. Educational purposes only. Blah, blah, blah. Don't sue me. How's everyone feeling at the moment? Super bullish? Super bearish? Somewhere in between? Are we still aping low cap shitcoins? Are we still thinking we get to that magical 100k number? You know, six-figure BTC? Is that still on the cards, or is it all over? And this is purely distribution, and it's over. Good, sir, good. Mid. As in, mid-range? Like, somewhere in between? We just range and chill, or...? And hello, Smoky Lisa. Diamond hands this time? Yeah, I've diamond handed a little bit more than I should have, to be honest. But, it is what it is. Mid is in meh. Yeah, it's a bit meh. It's a little bit meh in terms of, you know, intraday trading this. It's been, so I'll take a step back. So I've been a little bit cautious. Like, general market context for me is based largely around rotations and largely around beta. So the way I try and look at markets is, you know, how much is above BTC, below BTC, what's the typical rotation in terms of how much can I actually get out of it on a rotational basis, what is market structure looking like generally. So start with BTC to give some form of context, and then start looking at altcoins and things like high time frame pivot levels and what's working well and what's not working particularly well in terms of, sorry, what's not performing particularly well in terms of their structure, and start making trade thesis off it. So like this week, for example, in the group, very aware of Pepe and this wonderful you know, support level essentially flipping, and Pepe being one of the best performers of the week. So if you look at this, so yeah, Friday, you got Bonk, you got Pepe, you got Floki, and Myro and Nier not far behind. Nier was a bit of a surprise, but we'll kind of come on to Nier in a bit. But for me, like, general context in terms of being risk on versus risk off, like, since we spoke last time, which was last Tuesday, we were up in this range here. I think we talked about this whole move up being a potential fade, and like what you'd need to see is essentially a close above there to get long. And you could have taken the short, which, you know, I did not. I was long from down here somewhere. I was long from 63, so it's technically long from there, but you kind of get the point. For me, like, heading into like this week, we were in a bit of a downtrend, which started to reverse on the 4 hour We had an awesome oscillator divergence, which was a nice sign. So when I did my Thursday night stream in the Paragon, I was saying that this downtrend here, which is just a very simple channel, you don't need to have sat in front of the computer and traded these markets for the last 7 years to draw those lines on it, but to identify and just appreciate, I guess, the potential for this divergence to play out and this break a 4-hour market structure and actually go, well, this is a potential change. And my nervousness at this point here was that this was a lower high technically, and that actually structure hasn't changed like convincingly. But at this point, when you kind of cement in that 4-hour lower low and you get this kind of positive price action in terms of a strong V reversal, that's a clear sign that there is demand there. We've had a strong sell-off and a strong buyback. Like, that's very different to something like this here, where you've got a strong sell-off and a pretty weak buyback in terms of the time it takes to not fully reset it, but to pull back, right? That's a V reversal there, basically. And then you've cleared the former high. And actually, since then, we've been generally trending up with risk on in meme coins in particular. There are obviously quite a few coins that have actually outperformed BTC. That's from Friday, but I tend to trade Monday to Friday because, despite what people say, like there's a lot of people on crypto Twitter that don't have lives, but I've got a family, I've got a daughter, and I don't need to sit here and trade every single day. So I'm very blessed in that regard, and kind of trade as and when I like to, and put the foot on the gas when the time and the conditions are really right for it. It's quite difficult, I think, at the moment because most structures are not great. The risk on environment isn't as good as it was weeks ago. Like, if you consider this since Monday, or whatever it is, Monday at 3 o'clock in the morning, you actually haven't got that many coins outperforming BTC, and it's basically a few memes, and that's it. There's a couple of other coins like PopCat and things like that aren't on my list, but yeah. Bitcoin looks like accumulation, manipulation, expansion. Tammy says she's buying all that low cap shit coins. Perfect. Feels like selling May got front run by a month. Would like a nosy at RLC later. Oh, super tingly in my balls. It's London, baby. I do have a bag of London. Low cap shitter, obviously. I don't know where it is at the moment, but yeah. I'm still aping quite a few low caps, and they're all very binary bets. Just to kind of give that point of clarity on low caps. Low caps, and I've been discussing this in the group as well because they want me to share more low caps. Is there? How do I put it? Well, the way I look at them all is you put your risk into one. If you like the meme, if you think it hasn't been done before, if you think something can be made of it, if it's a strong community, it makes you laugh, whatever it might be, or you just want some exposure on a chain, examples. Plenty of the things, the low cap memes and stuff I've quote unquote invested in, like gambling on is a better way of putting it. Some of them have gone minus 100% within a day, some of them have gone plus 50x in a few weeks. Yeah, it's very difficult to know with conviction which one's going to do that, because obviously if I did, what I'd do is I'd take 100% of my portfolio, whack it in one of them, and then that would be job done. There's 100 million in your back pocket, easy as peas. But that's not really the way it works. So what's better than watching BTC Charlie stream or speculating on cryptographic securities? Whoa, hang on, these are not securities, my friend. Come on, let's not get ourselves arrested. But there have been some really good, low caps turned mid caps. Like Kai, for example, I tweet about that a lot because it's one of the very few coins that's got really bullish market structure that looks like it's just gonna blast out and head to, I can't say price targets because I'm British and I'll get put in jail obviously if I say it's going to X dollars. But it's reasonable to, I think, I'll get the chart up later, but we'll go on to shitcoins later. But it's reasonable to want to play strength, and there are some low caps with strength. There's also some good high caps, obviously, like Pepe with strength, which again, come on to. I mean, for me, BTC is really, really simple at this point. Really, really simple. There's kind of one big magic line that is just, I'm not going to get too excited until we've crossed that. And if you want to get really boring, and literally like here, particularly with the recent price action, i.e. this here, this, rejection, and now we're tapping it again, and we're tapping it whilst having essentially bullish market structure in a high time frame prevailing uptrend. This is like, right, it's kind of decision point here, and I'll be watching quite avidly with. Sorry, I'm just getting a message from my wife. I'll be looking for that essential like reaction here. So if we get a strong move up and it gets completely rejected, then I'm going to be looking to take that short here and basically hedge everything and just hedge my bags with a Bitcoin short, right? Because what we will find ourselves in the situation of, sorry, I'm trying to multitask and it's not going too well, is you've got that bullish trend heading into clean resistance, and if we get that rejection, then we've lost the trend, and actually this starts looking more like a distributive range. One of the other things that's kind of keeping me a little bit cautious is this. So from a daily perspective, we're sat on that 50 RSI level, whilst the daily isn't exactly looking wonderful in terms of like market structure. Like from here, it was looking okay, and now you break that structure and we're in a downtrend. So from a 4-hour perspective, it's nice and bullish, but from a daily perspective, we're actually potentially rounding off and creating that resistance here at a reasonable level, whilst price looks like that. If the daily closes like that, so the classic hammer, that's not a great sign. London stand up. Sadly, I'm not actually from London, but yes. Epic done well, but backed by the Cabal. I don't even know what Epic is. Kai looking strong as fuck. Yeah, it is. What do I think of Wombat? I've actually not seen Wombat. Is 57k too much? It depends what you're paying it for, my brother. For one night with me? No, that's criminally undervalued. Last time you said it's decision time, the market dumped a few days later. It's that classic meme, isn't it, in terms of, oh, it's decision time, price has to do this here. And for me, it's like, the question is always, do I want to participate at this level? And if so, how? And if so, where am I wrong? Like, what? Right, if I want to long this, what am I looking for? If I want to short this, what am I looking for? I think the short side is easier to play than the long side, in the sense of, like, you can basically preempt the long by going like this and going like that and going, right, this is just never going to pull back, and do something like that, right? Ooh, steady. And I wouldn't just blind short this, given that you are in an uptrend on a low time frame on a 4-hour basis, right? But this kind of ranging price action anyway, even though it is a pretty fucking big range, is harder for me to trade than just simple low time frame alt rotations. I will get onto that. But this would be trade idea 1, and actually, if you got completely cucked out of that by essentially this, and you saw this, I'd be closing that break even and then flipping. Like, that is pretty simple for me. Does that make sense? And the rationale behind that, because that would essentially be a rejection and a break in that uptrend. God save the Queen and Boris Johnson. Well, the Queen's dead. But I kind of get the sentiment. For me, the majority of altcoins are fucking dead. And they've been dead for a while. No rate cuts this year, innit? Yeah. Yeah. That's why my wife wants to move house, I think. Go and buy some property. Or buy another property. Anyway. She's determined to to top the market, I think. Rip Lizzie. Yeah, Liz. Yeah, R.I.P. Respect. F in the chat for Liz. But yeah, I mean, this is just a range, and it's painful. It's going to chop a lot of people up. I think a lot of people are going to massively overexpose. I think a lot of people are going to try and trade like it was 3 months ago, with very high risk appetites and very high expectations of returns. Because that's one of the things. It's like I always try and determine what kind of rotations am I looking for. Am I looking for 3, 5, 10, 20% rotations? Like a couple of months ago, if I was if I was playing a big breakout trend, a big breakout play, like I'm targeting at least 10% minimum. Generally looking for more, right? I'm going to try and follow that as aggressively as I can, as in not aggressive taking profit, aggressive as in trying to follow that move and hold it for as long as I possibly can without just giving everything back. And the market was really forgiving with that. But the market is less forgiving now, unless you've literally picked the top 3, top 5 maybe coins in terms of structure and relative strength. What about Dubai property market? It's a good question. I've actually been considering Dubai for other reasons. Tax. Cough tax. But yeah. You want to look at Doggy Coin? Yes, my friend, we certainly can. Let's just flick through Ethereum. Q2 should be boring, Q3 should be fun. I always find those kind of predictions quite difficult because I don't have a system that tells me effectively which quarter everything's going to happen, right? And I get what people do is they tend to take the last 10 years of Bitcoin price performance data, do a simple calculation on return by month, and go, well, this is how it's going to be then. You might as well do fucking moon cycles, in my opinion. I think part of your job as a trader is to read the market as a whole, read the charts, read the structure, understand what catalysts there are or aren't generally in markets, and position accordingly. I think that's literally it. Show some spag. There you go. So yeah, also Floki, bit of a big time pump, which was I was in Betty Bye Byes for the big time pump. A wonderful 25% move, just absolutely killed. Let me know if you need help in Dubai. Cheers, man. It was more, tax purposes and what would actually need to do to just essentially move out there and not pay anything. Full Moon SPX today is up. Yeah, I mean, I am joking about moon cycles and all that stuff, but yeah, it's dollar dying a little bit. But do I look at it? Yes. Do I fully understand all of the nuances in it, and would I trade, for example, the dollar index or the SPX over BTC or longing shitcoins? No. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I'm an SPX trader, because I'm fucking not. I'm far better at playing altcoin rotations with a very kind of simple system. We can hope that this is deviation on the dollar, and that this is kind of similar to this price action, and actually what's going to happen is we're basically going to go back into this range. My only nervousness is all around the geopolitical bullshit that's going on, and the whole world is pretty sensitive at the moment, and that when SPX did that, not particularly the same and different time horizons, but it kind of reminds me of this piece of price action round down here. And again, it's a little bit messy. But it's kind of, we broke out, kind of tried, and then just went, and then pulled back, and then went. Like, I don't know. This is what I mean. I don't kind of trade this shite, but it'll be interesting to see how we essentially react to that range high, and whether we hold above. And if we do, and we do really start trending on the dollar, then obviously it's going to be risk off everywhere. And yeah, we've had a decent pullback from what has been, you know, since October last year, up only on S&P. This is a pretty convincing trend break. Doesn't matter how you look at it. Oh, loads of messages. Popcat's flip Doge. This is the Aussie TA guy, right? Me? What? Aussie? Hello? Hello, Mr. Smith? Hello? Aussie? I don't think I've ever been called Australian. Not sure whether to be elated or offended. Shill me some Solana low cap. What have I bought on Solana recently? I bought Test. That went down 70%. I bought London. That's up. Ooh, I don't know. I haven't checked, but it was up last time I checked. I bought Kai, but that was around about 30 cents, so that was quite a while ago. That ran to $2 and is at about 160. What else have I bought on Solana? Coinbase. What else? Just trying to think. Might have to go through my wallets, my shitcoining wallets. And some of the other things I buyed. I buyed? Wow. It's fucking retarded English, isn't it? Some of the other things I bought have gone to zero. So, happy days. Thoughts on RLB? Well, that's a good question. I haven't looked at the RLB chart for a long time. I mean, the old traditional valuation methods of RLB, that looks pretty clean, actually. That looks clean as fuck. I don't even have to draw it. There you go. Bosh, bosh. Probably target the highs. Yeah, job done. Sorry, did was talk indices for a second? Oh, I did, mate. Yeah. Silvish, yeah, gold, silver, DXY, all Nasdaq. I look a bit, yeah. That's what I kind of do. Is yeah, strong dollar, bad for Bitcoin, really simple. And you know, oh yeah, good point, Aleo, around USD market cap. So this is one thing, one proxy that I really like, which is the combination of total US dollars in, well, it's the US dollar market caps of stable coins. So in theory, to mint one USDT, DC, etc., you need to put in $1 of real cash. And if you look at the timing of the bottom of this chart, which is September the 30th, 2023, the whole market has pretty much been up only. So when we start seeing this chart do this, that's when we really need to start thinking, oh, shit, this is scary times. Like, the way I think of it is like this. Money is coming into the casino, money is leaving the casino, money is coming into the casino, you know, question mark, when is it going to leave? Like, trying to predict that, fucking pointless in my opinion. You know, oh, it's going to be tomorrow, oh, it's going to be there. Who fucking knows, right? But as long as this is going up, it gives me reasonable confidence that actually, you know, people are still keeping their chips in the market. Actually, it's generally better to look at it like that. Does that make sense? People followed that. S&P's up only historically speaking. Yeah, I know. Called Kai to me at 0.03. You did. You did. Why London? Because I'm a Brit, mate. Shark Cat? What the hell's Shark Cat? Modulating short thoughts on Celestia. I haven't really heard much about Celestia since you know, it launched, ran up, and then still in a downtrend. Like, I've just got no interest in touching like this. Do you know what I mean? Until I see some reclaims, until I see some form of strength. Like, even like this is pretty weak. USDC upside down cat. Oh yeah, I saw that. I missed that one, to be honest. Vanry, yeah. I'm just jumping around at the moment. Let's we'll come back to what was actually scheduled in a minute. Yeah, so I mean I had Vanry and we talked about Vanry last week. I think in terms of like ranges and levels, and like for me it was always this level up here when we when people always do the classic thing, like you tweet about it down here and everyone's like, meh, I'm not interested. And then you tweet about it up here and everyone's like, wee, let's go. And then it goes down to here and people go, what should I do with my bag? And it's like, well, if you bought up here, what was your plan? Like I find this kind of stuff really hard to enter for spot positions because you don't know where your invalidation is. I actually find this much easier because once you've got the fourth tap, like, or even third, it becomes really easy because the market is telling you where demand is, and then you know that if demand goes up, if price goes under that demand, you know that you're pretty much wrong. And even like this kind of stuff, it's just you've got a real clear pivotal point. Like even as you go forward, like, and what I like to see, and I know I'm fighting my own bags here, right? Because I've still got that metric fuck ton of this. Like I want to see reclaims. I don't really care what level they're at. I don't really care. Like even if it's this, right? I want to see this. I want to see this fucking close above it. Someone in the group in the Paragon yesterday asked. I can't remember what it was. It's someone doesn't buy YouTube Premium. I might treat myself to that actually. I would wait for a close, and I was asked why wait for a close, and it's simply because it signals to the market the price belongs above this level. And whether that's a daily close or a 4-hour close, it depends on what time frame you're taking the trade on. But the expectancy of that playing out to whichever direction the prevailing trend is in is much higher if you wait for that close, in my experience. Not financial advice, do your own research. Obviously, gamble accordingly. And what happened was, it looked like this, and then by the end of the candle, it was back in here. So in other words, if you took that trade, it would have just reversed. But this is what I mean, this is why I'm always looking for strength, and it's why I tend not to catch bottoms. I don't want to long this, unless there's some nice divergence of the lows, or something, or, even down here, like this is a pretty shit line, isn't it? But, we're getting a reaction, and if I was on the, 1 minute chart, maybe if I'm seeing relative strength and jumping in there, not a problem, because I've got a high time frame invalidation, but, yeah. Very hard to long things in a downtrend. For me, anyway. Shark actually looks good. Old but bottomed. Popcat is running hard. Yeah, it is. So that's kind of my thoughts about Vanry. Like, they're still building a shed load. They're still pushing. I think if, in particular, like AI and stuff catches a bit again, I think Vanry will do really well. I still have a massive bag of it, so I'm hoping it fucking runs, and I'm hoping I get to clip out around here and around $1 minimum. But yeah, we'll see. At the moment, this is kind of like I guess the initial push. See if there's some strength, but given the rest of the market, given the market is basically weighted between BTC on one hand, right? So you've got BTC as like that top tier investment, memes that are the low tier, like they both seem to be doing okay, and then everything else in the middle of the bell curve is just not doing particularly wonderful, right? So you basically have TardFi and TradFi, as in BTC. Like everything else in the middle is just getting cucked at the moment. Port Vanry at 0.14. Nice. Cat's runes, there I said it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not into the whole runes thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I'm not. Inflection point identified, yeah. What's my opinion on alts that haven't done much in regards to the bear low versus alts that have pumped harder, Sol, etc. So I think for me, like, I will always preach the same thing, that I like strength, and that is what this whole like system and way of thinking and way of trading relies on, right? If there's a coin that looks like this, right, there's a huge accumulation period. Let's pretend the lines are straight and I can actually draw with the mouse straight. Versus a coin that looks like this, and you know they're over the same time frame. Let's pretend I actually drew them to scale or whatever. Like, I would much rather be longing this coin in general than this one. The only exception to that is if I think that there's a big narrative play coming, or if this coin looks something like this, right? If that coin's got, I'll draw that separately actually. I'll draw the pattern separately. So you've got this huge accumulation, bosh, 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 bosh. And then at the end of it, you're starting to see a change in structure. And you're starting to see, essentially, meme triangle. And you've got a really nice invalidation for that trade. And general conditions are pretty risk on. Bonus points if you can get some form of narrative behind it. I don't know what it might be, but it might be some dodgy DeFi or something like that, right? But for some reason you think DeFi is going to come back. I don't know. It's just an example. That's the only time I can really be convinced to kind of preempt something massively. Other than that, the time and the opportunity cost of investing money in something like this, whereas versus longing something that's moving and that has the attention, it has the eyes, it has the volume to support your size, it has all of that, versus this, which is probably in a liquid shitter. The risk reward of those two are very, very different. Does that make sense? Like, that's my kind of viewpoint. So if you were saying, do you want a long Sol or do you want a long XRP or Litecoin or something that's done this, you know, it's going to be this every time. And it's why when you've got a downtrend, I'm not there. I'm not trying to trade that on a higher time frame basis. I might try and trade a little rotation if I get bored intraday, but until that structurally changes, not interested. And these kind of setups kind of aren't really setups. The alternative to that, though, is you get this, and you get that consolidation, and then you get a big sell-off and a reclaim. And again, if you've got, you know, if this is a bag that you actually want, and that reclaim is good and strong, and that's kind of the potential start of some strength, could be tempted. I'm not just interested necessarily in trying to catch, you know, a breakout trade here. I can be tempted to get it down there, but it has to be moving, I guess is the point, and not just sat in that range doing fuck all. Does that make sense? I think I've probably gone over that too much. Thanks for the detailed explanation. You're welcome. That's kind of what I'm here to do, mate. Just chill out, have a chat about markets, see what's going on. Thoughts on Phantom, the Sonic upgrade upcoming? I don't really pay attention to all the little updates and upgrades and all that kind of stuff, to be honest, because there's always stuff going on, right? Some of them can be quite big, some of them might not be. But if I see it on here, great. Oh, it's bounced from quite an interesting point. But again, like structurally on RLC, it's quite difficult for me to, like, at this point here, trying to structure a trade around it. You know, you've basically got this support, which now looks to be resistance. So if I wanted to play this, I'd have to basically wait for something around here. So come down here and give me something. Or reclaim this, and then there's a long. Yeah, I can be quite aggressive if I want to be in this consolidation, so just ignoring this and drawing it up here from like a low time frame entry perspective. Again, low time frame, and this is generally how I prefer to execute. Something like that. Sell off, but then convince me that actually that's not where price should be, and start building a position around this, around these lows. Yeah, higher time frame. You saw the markup, so I probably don't need to repeat that. It's not difficult to see where price is interacting. So risk on environment with a slow build up, filling out the range with a consistent buying pressure. Yeah, or a sell off followed by strength at the range lows. So a strong sell off. Typically, you get this bouncing ball pattern, right? And then you get this. And if that reclaim is strong, it tells me that sellers are probably done in terms of pounding the shit out of this. And that actually, there's a reasonable chance that buyers are just going to flip that around. Sorry to ask, but never be sorry to ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question. It's actually a really good question. And when looking at spaghetti, are you usually looking for outperformers in the market and underperformers? Yes, both. I want high beta stuff. So I want something there's two main types of trade that I won't go into too much detail, but there's the coin that's doing this, and then there's the coin that's doing this, right? Because usually you get reversion from these. They typically are the next rotation, if you're watching them well enough. So like STX was really, really good the other day. Sui, again, really good the other day in terms of reclaim. We can come on to those. And now we've gone into memes. But these are pulling back because they did this before. And what tends to happen with those is you get the mean reversion play once they actually finally find a bottom, and they just do that. So, I'm basically not interested, as you said, in anything in this region here. Couldn't give a fuck about it. Really dull. When it breaks out of that region, if something comes up like this now, I'm really interested in that because it's breaking out from what everything else is doing. And I know I'm on the 15-minute chart. In real time, I'm on much lower time frames. But let's zoom in. If you're going to get something that starts going like this and cutting up, I'm really interested in that. Really interested. Even now, like Whiff. Whiff looks really good here compared to everything else, right? Let's skim over to Whiff, because it is actually on my list. So this is obviously my friend's position that I posted on Twitter, and I've taken, my friend, has taken some profit on this. But if you look at this objectively and just take this off, it's telling you meme triangle, right? Let's go. Let's fucking do this. Bosh. We've got two things going. One, we've got Whiff like completely moving against the market and actually showing some real relative strength. Like that, I'm always really interested in, because that is kind of not the start of a move guaranteed, but if you can actually find some consistency in it, and I'm, like I said, I'm usually going down to much lower time frames to see what is actually going on. It's holding up when the market is dipping a tiny bit. Yeah, I'm quite interested in Whiff. Does that make sense? Like, you're looking for that strength, that objective strength. So, good question. Thanks for asking it, Isha. Any particular views on so-called AI coins? Most of them washed recently. Some look to be recovering, e.g. FET and Ajax. I think there's a big question around whether AI has had its run and whether it's going to recover or not and all that kind of stuff. Like, for me, the big speculation is done, but does that mean it's not going to have another run? No. Does it mean you're going to be able to stick AI in the name of any project and instantly 100x it? Probably not. I think there's still capacity for AI narrative to have a place in the market, but it's not going to be as easy as it was, so to speak. And it's only going to take 1 or 2 coins that have AI as a narrative to perform really well for that to happen. Any thoughts on that lens coin? I did tweet on it a while ago. Looks like shite. It does look like shite, mate. That's because it is shite. It's really sold off and died. So I do apologise for that one. I'm not going to hit 100%. I can lend you a $5 if you like. See what I did there? Yeah. It basically just lost its range and has just done nothing since. You know, it was at a time where Rune was really strong, and if you remember the start of the bull run, like, Rune was one of the first coins that actually led the charge out of its range. I think it might have even been literally the first coin way back when. In like 2023, not 2003, Christ. It's before Bitcoin, boys, Rune. Like this charge out of the accumulation range was one of the first in the market. So, you know, was I bullish on Rune? Absolutely, I've been bullish on Rune forever. Was I bullish on Rune ecosystem plays? Yeah, absolutely. Has it gone well? No, not particularly. It's basically fucking died off. So, apologies. And yes, it is grim. There were some nice trades on it, and obviously, you know, a couple of nice moves, you know, particularly from down here to up there and whatnot, and even listing after the initial sell-off. A nice run there, but it really has not found any strength. And does not look to be finding any either, in terms of momentum divergences. Something here, but, you know, arguably played out and then died again. Just in terms of this. But yeah, pretty much played out and now not really doing a lot. Is Spaghetti chart adjustable in terms of which tokens to show? This one you can just add or remove whatever you want, to be honest. But there is another one, but it never really loads when I'm actually streaming, which is really helpful. Which is this one. And you can change this in terms of what you're looking at, whether it's, you know, GameFi, meme coins, whatever it might be. Just go through them and what's breaking up, what's going on today by category. Like, you can clearly see that memes are having their heyday. You know, pretty similar from a weekly perspective. You know, memes have been consistently outperforming pretty much everything. So it's kind of just an easy way of looking at it, and it's loading now, which is nice because it normally doesn't load when I stream. That's some awesome insight, thank you. No, thank you for being here, and hopefully, you know, you get something from this. What's my targets for Pepe? Just trend follow, mate. That's grim. Curious how you manage spot holdings. Mostly a buy and hold, or are you attempting to time to some degree? It depends on the project. It depends on my thesis. It depends on the market conditions. It depends on all sorts of things. So what I do, and I wrote a thread on it, it's pinned to my highlights if you want to go read it, is I always have a plan, and I always know what I'm going to do with each of them, and some of them I hold to 0, some of them I sell it like instantly if it drops below a certain threshold. Others, you know, I think are going to go 10, 20, 30, 40x minimum, so I want as much exposure as I can have. I write down all the conditions for when I add to my bags, when I can add to my bags, and when I can cut my bags, and quite, you know, how, depending on how and where those bags are. So if they're like purely Uniswap bags, it's a little bit more difficult, but if it's a bag and a spot bag that I can hold on an exchange, the best thing that I do is write a plan, stick it in my spreadsheet, go, well, if I want to sell 10% of it here, I'll set that sell order. If I want to sell 10% here, I'll set that sell order, etc., etc. And then I'll just walk away. Put a stop loss on here if I want to. You know, that's how I will manage, you know, the majority of my spot bags on exchanges. Now it's a little bit more difficult with spot bags that are like, you know, in cold storage, i.e. BTC. You know, that's a manual process for an example. But yeah, I've got you know, I've got specific targets where I want to take some spot off. Obviously, like everybody, it's kind of around here initially, and yeah, that's where I want to, you know, unload in the 90s somewhere. A lot of what I've been accumulating for years. So with something like BTC, I'm going to have to transfer it over because it's in cold storage. With stuff like Vanry, for example, I can just set and forget and just put levels in and go, right, 10%, 10%, 25%, 10%, 10%, etc. And then when price does this, I don't really give a shit. If price does something like this, you know, and it starts doing that around this level and it doesn't get to this level, whatever that might be, you know, I'm not targeting 82,000 for Vanry, let's just say. You know, I'm making an executive decision. Typically, if price does this and it's close to my levels, a good example would be Rune. When I had Rune, you know, my targets were ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. This is the last run, by the way, so I've used this same method for 2 cycles now. I definitely didn't use it in my first. I had one target that was $20, right? $20, not perfect, but whatever, $20. And that was based on a load of calculations I did around market cap, 3 times TVL, all this kind of bullshit that landed me let me arrive at $20. And my average price for Rune was like 0.03, I think, something like that. It was something silly. And $100 was my final selling target, right? So that's where my last final bag was going to get dumped, and would have been nice, but it didn't happen. But when we got to like, I think it was like $18, $19, like in here and in this consolidation, I was like, nah, fuck this, fam. This is a huge amount of money to me, like huge amount that I'd ridden and held up the whole time. And I was like, nah, I'm just going to start basically unloading here. And when we got to like 20, it was it. You know, there wasn't too much left to unload. And it was all, you know, sorry, not all of it, but my $20, my bag I wanted to sell at $20, I unloaded. So I wasn't going to hold, you know, a, whatever it was, like 100, 2, 3, like a 500x, whatever it was, you know, up and down for a few extra, well, I suppose it was X's, but, you know, a few extra percent, when actually the downside risk, the more you go up, obviously the higher you go, the further you fall. Like, the downside risk of that was just too much for me to bear, so kind of executive decision came in there. But typically and generally with crypto, like, unless you are putting, you know, pretty aggressive stops on, like, your risk is usually 100%. Like, if you start factoring in, like, exchange risk and all that kind of stuff, and if you start with that mindset of everything is massively risky, I have to control absolutely everything I possibly can to ensure that, you know, an exchange doesn't rug me. And I've got full control over my assets, then you start thinking very differently. But yeah, that's a long explanation. If you look at Fidium daily chart, fuck is Fidium, my brother? Someone asked about Doge. Let's jump onto Doge because I like Doge. Doge has been a real choppy bastard around this level, and because I've had a massive position since back down here, I've had to take some off because we're chopping around this level and I don't like it. Don't like it. So market sold off. Obviously we lost the level. I didn't sell down here because I wasn't here, to be quite frank with you. Otherwise I probably would have panicked sold and closed some, because a lot of this, you know, this level, like going under it, pushing above like this, for reference, that's what this level is. You know, it's here. It's this. It was quite kind of pivotal for me and my thoughts around price action. And here's where I could reopen it if I wanted to, but given the relative strength of other memes, I'm gonna kind of stick with my size on this and just take the fairly big dub on this. You know, that's a good 2x on very good size, so Cheers, you're welcome. What do I think of the movie chart? Morning look. Are you looking at Bitcoin dominance? Firstly, went some 10% moves. I kind of look at it. But I wouldn't say I get super actionable signals from it. It's more of a context piece just around, you know, Bitcoin D is, yeah, there you go, strong sell-off, come back, retest. You know, if you were being a TA or about this, you'd say we're probably going to come down here, and then you'd be looking for a break of that to see Bitcoin basically do either one or two things with this. Bitcoin's either going to run, in which case Bitcoin dominance go up, or Bitcoin's going to do this, and Bitcoin dominance goes up, because altcoins are doing this and absolutely shitting the bed. They're racing to zero, right? So trying to correlate Bitcoin dominance in terms of market cap and percentages with Bitcoin price, just look at the fucking Bitcoin chart. It's just a good, I mean, it's a reasonable proxy, isn't it, of risk on, risk off altcoins, but I prefer spaghetti. Because even in an environment where Bitcoin's not doing particularly well, you can find which altcoins are doing well, because usually there's at least one, and trade that. So it's kind of an interesting bit of information for me, but it's not particularly actionable. Whereas spaghetti is very actionable. How do you calculate forecast of sell price using market cap FDV? Well, it's basically like current market cap divided by number of coins equals price. How can we get access to the spaghetti? Which one? It's like Paragon, basically. $500 fucking notifications, Jesus Christ. So yeah, let me just jump to some of the coins that I was banging on about. I really want to position in Ondo again. I think Ondo has been consolidating in this range for far too long. I think what I'm waiting for is some form of sign of relative strength. So when we were talking about this earlier in terms of like that ranging pattern, like for me, I want to see this potentially, let's go like lower time frame. I want to see some form of strength, either on a relative basis or just simple structuring. Right, so this started to go up, and I can structure a trend around, structure a trade around this, around these meme levels. What I really want to see is a little bit of strength on low time frame, on like even like a 1 second rotational. Like I want to see it be up here, right? And then that's a nice Ondo rotation, because I think Ondo has another run, and should be a good rotation. Doge we've been over, and Whiff we just went over in terms of that low time frame strength. And if we get that breakout, then this is what I'm looking for, basically. Slash entering. So they're really high up on my list. Pepe, someone was asking what the target is, and for me, like this kind of stuff, it's just trend following. It's try and stay in the trade for as long as you can, because it's one of the strongest coins on the market, right? So start looking at levels where you're wrong, depending on where you entered it. Like if you're being super aggressive, you just try and stay in the trade for as long as possible, and that can be something really simple like hourly trend, right? I'm gonna stay in this trade until we lose the hourly trend, or until we touch the hourly trend, or we close below it, right? Something of that ilk, which if we stay like this, the hourly trend will do this, and then it'll start slowing down, and then if we do this and sell off, you'll go, right, well, is that the signal to close, or is this higher time frame resistance that we just drew the one? And structure it around that and go, right, we've lost this, I'm actually going to wait until this, because my entry is down here somewhere. Great. If your entry's here, and you played the breakout in this little piece of price action, I'd probably be a little bit more aggressive and just take the money off the table, right? Good trade, lovely. If you're down here, probably risk a little bit more and try and stay in. Because if it starts coming down to here in this previous breakout, consolidation leading into a very strong breakout, then I'd say that's pretty fucked in terms of trend and structure and coming back below here, right? So you've got more to play with. I'm willing to give back a little bit more for the potential of riding it further with some invalidation than if I was up here. I'd rather just scalp it out, And just, well, it's not a scalp, is it? It's taken fucking days. So let me take that scalp word back. But you get what I mean. Is AIT bottoming in your opinion? Any targets? I haven't actually looked at AIT for a long time. It kind of comes back to the question of, does AI have a next leg? I mean, is it bottoming? Don't know. Like, for me, bottoming usually looks something a bit more like usually looks a little bit more like this. So sell off and then some form of consolidation. And, you know, do you want to buy that? Back to our conversation earlier. Probably not. Do you want to buy this? Quite probably, right? Especially if you think there's going to be an AI narrative. But, you know, we haven't even broken a downtrend yet. You know, it's still a downtrending market. It doesn't matter how you try and dress this up. Like, I prefer waiting for other people to buy the bottom. It's just me. I'll catch the meat of a move. That's enough to put food on my plate. I don't need to try and time the bottom. So it's a good question. There has been some divergences, like on the 4-hour. See what we're doing on daily. Really not a lot. Momentum is slowing down to the downside, but really not got that. Not got anything like locked in terms of potential divergence. So at this point, it's kind of an arbitrary guess. Whereas if we had the sell-off and we actually had some form of daily divergence in terms of the awesome oscillator or a form of RSI div, I'd be like, you know, not a clean bottom, so to speak, but actually decent signs and confluences that it could be a bottom. I'd need something like that to just be blind buying here, right? Equally, if you wanted to structure a trade around it, the really easy trade that I can see is literally that. You know, look for some strength. And I'll probably move that up a teeny tiny bit, because we basically rejected there. It failed to break up. And until we get that close above 0.41, just not that interested in playing it to the long side. Any targets on it? I mean, $0 or $10. You know, have whatever targets I can pull out my ass. There's no, you know, clear targets in terms of, like, if you're buying it here, you know, what's the target? I mean, the obvious one is essentially former range lows and former, like, consolidation highs, I suppose, in terms of this. It's a bit messy because it's very fucking wicky, this chart. But held up there, that's probably the best I can see if I just stick the RVP on. Should make things a little bit better. Yeah, I'd say probably these highs and not these. Yeah, that's how I'd mark it up. That's how I'd think of that thought process. Cool, we covered a lot today, haven't we? Jesus Christ. XRP is one that I was going to cover as well. Just because it appeared on Spaghetti the other day, and I was a bit like, what the fuck? What's that doing on there? I think this could be a reasonable mover for some bizarre reason. So it's still on my radar in terms of reclaim, invalidation, etc. Looking at this, yeah, it had a reasonably strong move compared to other coins. But I don't want to get kind of caught in basically a liquid old dog shit. It's not liquid, it's actually pretty liquid, but yeah. I don't see any reason not to trade memes in the meantime. But if you compare things like Bonk structurally compared to Pepe, you know, very different. Pepe reclaim that level. Whiff, you know, looks pretty strong in terms of potential breakout. What was the other one? What's the other meme that's done really well? It wasn't actually a meme, was it? It was Nia. Nia, again, pretty clean level. Interesting to see how it reacts. And if we get any form of plays around this point of control, then we could have a really easy trade on our hands for, a kind of sell-off and a reclaim. I don't want to long here blindly. I kind of want late longers to be punished. But it's quite high on my radar for, like, next potential trades, because it's been really strong. And it's been one of the few non-meme coins that's been really strong over the past however long. Yeah, there you go. Talking about memes, low cap potential Sendors. I mean, I went through some of them. Like, there's that Coinbase one, which is giga-tarded. I'm getting messaged on Steam. I'm making an Asbo meme coin. Everyone's making meme coins, it's great. What have I bought recently? I bought London, I bought Coinbase, I bought Test, which has gone like minus 60%, and the fake taxi account and all that kind of stuff was just hilarious. Getting messages from like basically a porn studio. Having to explain that one to my wife was quite interesting. Although good that she didn't immediately know what it was. Do you know what fake taxi is? No. Oh, yeah, neither do I. Never heard of it. Yeah, there's loads of meme coins out there. Is there anything else anyone wants to cover off? Or should we call that a day? So I've been streaming for a while. I don't really think there's much more to cover. I've given you some strong altcoins. I've given you some next trade setups. I've given you the next Bajillion X. BNB is the only other one that is really interesting. And you can kind of see my notes from the Outlook that I did in the group this week about BNB. But like this has been kind of mirrored BTC in terms of that up only. And I wouldn't be surprised that if we see a major markup on any coin, BNB could be the one. PopCap, Myro. Oh, Myro, yeah. Myro's oh, that was it. Let's not put a failed trade on there. Let's not do that. Yes, Myro. Let's hide that. Bosh. So again, Myro, I think, has that very clean level going through it as well. I think if you were positioning early, I think it'd be a bit harder in terms of like what's going on with this. But I think as soon as we reclaim that, like that for me is like very, very clean invalidation. It's that classic bouncing ball kind of mentality. Not perfect, but and then dies off, which is exactly what's happened. And then we start seeing that reappreciation of price. And if we can reclaim that former level, which is this, then great. Real clean validation for hopefully the next leg in the market. And the market generally. Yes, thank you for pointing out, Myro. I do apologise. And it kind of, like, I was a bit disappointed with this and the timing of it, because the initial scenario worked out pretty well, actually. And it was this run. Because what I've always said is that if you look at coins that do this, that's their former all-time high. They tend to break out, they tend to come back and retest that all-time high, right, chop around, and then you think, oh, it's fucked. And then what it does is it completely sends for the next leg. And usually in risk-on conditions, that setup works really, really well, because it's brain dead, it's simple, and like that shakes out enough participants, basically. But, sadly what happened with Myro is basically that was the kind of top of the market generally, and got cooked a little bit, but yeah. It's certainly one of those coins that should be on the radar. Let's have a look, have a peep. Myro. Yeah, not the best, but certainly not the worst. Any thoughts on the meme culture staying? It's a really good question. I think it will. I think it will stay generally, because I think If you look at Twitter, we're always looking for, like, the Twitter's kind of... I'll answer it again. Twitter is a bunch of lost souls generally wanting to belong to some form of community. It's a lot of, yeah, I guess, lonely people in some respect. And they want to belong to a community fundamentally. And one of the things that unites most, people on the internet is the memes, the kind of cultures like Pepe and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think there's ever, look at, even during the bear market, like Miladies and stuff like that took over for a period. There are various other, like, even NFTs that went and did pretty well during that time. Like, people will always seek both gambling and communities. And I think, and, exceptional returns. I think memes offer all of them. Do I think they'll do as well in, pure bear market mode and pure risk off conditions versus risk on? No, absolutely not. And there's a point, whether we're there or not, who knows, that's a saturation point where there's going to be 5 billion meme coins launching every day and 7 billion people on the planet, right? You can't actually keep up. But I think memes are always going to be part of the kind of, CT culture and the gambling of crypto culture, always. And there's almost always going to be a launch every month in the crypto space that, in 3 months, 5 months, 6 months time has gone to 100x. And that's the kind of golden ticket to, be a bit of a cringe Charlie and the Chocolate Factory reference that most people are here for. Most people aren't here trading with $1 million trying to get 10% a year. Time to watch Arsenal Chelsea, have fun. Yeah, cheers, Jess. First time catching a stream, really enjoyed it. Cheers, Eddie. I think Meme Coins here to say as well. Yeah, friends. Love the streams. I'll go on then chicken nugget just for you. I'll do that and then we'll go. Yeah, if you like the stream and all that, I can't even type. God. UDF. There we go. It's definitely time to end the stream. Yeah, if you like them, subscribe, like, comment, text me nude pictures of your wife, that kind of thing, like, whatever. I always feel really cringe when it's the social media shout out thing. But liking the video helps the algo and helps me grow and all that kind of stuff. Movie. So, yeah, for me, this is like... This isn't it, is it? Or is it multi-bit? Maxime or data? Okay. Just delete that then. Oh, more data. Come on, mate. It's not really... again, all I see is like one level, basically. It doesn't really matter particularly where you draw it around this region. I'm going to do a Donald and just do a fucking massive box and be like, wee, bounce here or sell here. Like, I shouldn't really take the piss, but there you go. Like, basically, this is a pretty pivotal region for Big Mubi. And for me, like, why would I get bullish here? When, frankly, the plus EV trade IMO is either down here or a reclaim of that. Like, it's literally just play around those levels. We'll see if we can spot any form of divergences or anything like that. No. Yeah, no, basically. That's my thought process, is pretty clean levels to work around. Market's telling you where buyers should be stepping in, etc. So reclaim it, you've got a real clean invalidation. Don't reclaim it, you've got a real good short opportunity. Equally, vice versa down here, if you have a strong sell-off, there's something there. So basically, set alerts, walk away, let the trade come to you. Done. Hope you enjoyed that chicken nugget. Hope I didn't shit on your bags. I'll try and give like objective views and how I would trade it if I wasn't in position, because I'm not. Bosh. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. If you like the stream, do the likes and subscribes and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I will love you and leave you, and see you at the same time next week. Tell your wife, your nan, your grandma, all those people to tune in as well. I will see you next week. Au revoir.